On YouTube and Facebook. Our guest this morning, Hassan Aden Osman, is a former nominated member of parliament. He has been on a quest to find out exactly what's happening in our political party space. He's written to the register of political parties asking several questions. One, a list of all registered parties. Second, a list of provisional parties, a list of all name searches for political parties, how they are funded, who's funding them, where their registered offices are, and also has written to the Auditor General and said, so these parties that are being funded from the state, how have they been spending their money? That response has not come yet from the Auditor General's office, has it? So that's what we're waiting for. But then some things keep emerging when you're talking about now these parties and how they behave. In terms of parties are supposed to be having elections according to their own constitution on certain times. I don't remember political parties having many political parties not having elections. So UDA is going to have its election sometime. Jubilee scratches head.
Perhaps.
Wiper scratches head.
Perhaps. ODM we'll see.
Perhaps. And all these things. And they're supposed to be filing returns every year with the register of political parties. So what does a registrar do when they don't meet their own constitution?
There are penalties.
In reality or?
In law.
Okay.
There are penalties.
What form do the penalties take?
You can be fined, you can be deregistered if you don't follow the law.
Have we had any parties deregistered on such an
account? Out of, since the enactment of 2011 Political Parties Act, it is only Kenda, according to the record she has provided me, that has been deregistered out of the 90. Although some of the 90 came later.
Yeah.
But it's only one party that has been deregistered, that is Kenda. You find, why do you talk about national elections when you don't do your own elections? There's a question, Eric, you're asking. Yeah. Why? Because the products in the national elections are from?
Should be coming from the party
political
elections.
parties. So when you are not doing elections, you are doing selection yourself.
Yeah.
Why do you want to talk about
Elections
the end product?
But Mheshimiwa, is this not something which actually, in my mind, sentence stage, has very little to do with elections? It has very little to do with political parties, but it has more to do with the disregard for the laid down laws of this country by people who claim to be members of political parties, to lead political parties, because if something as simple as holding simple, it's there. Your own constitution states it and you don't. And then you find that it's something that is practiced by very many political parties, many of whose members happen to be lawmakers. So now, if you have a disregard for the law at that very high level, what exactly are we saying we have?
You know, the office of ORPP is a state organ set up in the constitution as one of the institutions that are running affairs of our country among the other institutions. And they are set down laws. There's a constitution, as I said, and there's an act, a Political Parties Act. ORPP is the referee.
Yep.
And you know what a referee does when there's a fall? So you should fall back to the law. But if you don't put a stop at that level and you are the referee, then that game will be messy. So there must be some negligence by some person or some people at a certain stage.
You know, you've been a chairman of a political party.
Right.
You've been a lawmaker as a nominated MP. Do you think the office of the Registrar of Political Parties is truly independent as a state office?
To me, as it concerns the law, the Constitution and the Political Parties Act, yes. How you want to play it, if you are the registrar in that office, that is upon you.
Legally and on paper, yes it is. But practically, Mheshimiwa, is it?
We cannot have escape. There is moral and legal obligation on the person who holds that office. If you don't do that, there's no gun on your head. I'm not seeing any gun on anybody's head. So at the end of the day, if you are morally right,
I will show you a gun. The current register of political parties was in an acting capacity for many years. That's a gun to her head.
the former was, this one is not acting. She didn't act. But the other one acted for almost, I think, 10, 11 years. But the issue here, even if you are acting.
Even Andrito, before she got confirmed, she acted. That's a gun to somebody's head.
What I'm trying not to get into, Eric, is the issue of putting that blank that you are in that office, you are an ombudsman, you are Kenya National Human Rights Commission, you are what these institutions that are there, that today I will say, because you are in that office and there are some powers that are not seen, that today you don't do your work diligently. What I'm saying is that you don't do it, then at the end of the day, I said now, like what I've done now, enough is enough. I've gone to court on a public interest petition. But at the end of the day, if we find we have a court of law, I don't want to disgrace and go into other issues. But what we are saying is that she has, or he has, whoever is in that office,
Legal basis.
adhere to the law.
Okay.
You know,
For example, let me give you a very good example here. How many, you're questioning me, let me question you for a second. How many political coalitions do you know exist in this country?
3.
3?
Yes.
Which one and which one?
Kenya Kwanza.
There's a Kenya Kwanza, there's Azimio, and there was a third one. What was it called?
Third Way Alliance.
No. There was a third coalition.
But even the name states it's a coalition.
Yeah.
You might have seen, okay, let me help you.
Yes.
There's one called Taifa Coalition.
That one.
See,
Taifa Coalition, Eric, you are scratching your head. Your friends don't know, and even me. It's only that after I got a reply from Registrar of Political Parties, I got, where am I going to? The documents that are lodged with the Registrar of Political Parties is a public property. Azimio Coalition, who has ever seen any? And I asked for Azimio Coalition, I asked for Kenya Kwanza Coalition documents, and that one, Taifa. I was told, go look for their offices.
Go ask them. Don't ask me.
That is her role as a state organ. We are paying her salary.
should those documents not be lodged with her as well?
It is lodged with her, and she must make it public by law.
Meaning anyone can go there and say, I want to see
Yes, I want to see it, and you see it and read. What did these people agree? These are the people who are going to govern us. And these are big people who are going to be in opposition to look at how we are being governed. But the issue is, you have seen one of a very senior member of political parties one time saying that I signed something and I didn't know what I signed. I don't want to mention, but you people know. And a very senior person in such a matter. He says, I signed the last page. And he's not the only one. It happened to me and Honorable Kiraitu Murungi when we folded
You
our
also
parties.
signed and didn't know
We
what you
signed the last pages.
Okay.
As you were folding your parties to
So-
join Jubilee.
Yes, when we were folding. We signed the last pages. So those was history. But what I'm saying is, the public has to know what is written so that they know how they are being governed and by who.
Let's talk about funding. Some of the reports that you got, the response that you got was with regards to political funds. The 2022-2023 political parties fund has 14 parties that are receiving money from taxpayers. UDA is receiving the lion plus elephant's share of this, 345,800,000 shillings. ODM is receiving 184,717,000 shillings. Jubilee, 81 million. Wiper, 43 million. Then the other parties, Devolution Empowerment Party is receiving 8.2 million. There is Maendeleo Chap Chap, 348,000. Progressive Party of Kenya, 1.8 million. Forum for Restoration of Democracy Kenya, 15 million. Kenya Social Congress, 729,000. Democratic Party of Kenya, 3.2 million. National Congress, Kenya National Congress, 1.1 million. Party of Independent Candidates of Kenya, 526,000. National Rainbow Coalition Kenya, that's now Kenya, 4.5 million. Some of these parties, why are they receiving the money?
You know, after the amendment to the
political
parties.
Yes.
Now, and that's why I'm saying the policy makers might be looking at the interest, not the interest of the public. And I've been one of them. And it has reached a time now we whistle it out. The parties that receive the funds are 48. The highest, as you have said, is United Democratic Alliance, 345. But before even 2022, 2023, 2021, 2022, Jubilee received 1.1 billion.
1.1 billion shillings.
ODM received 1.3 billion.
Yes.
What has that money done? What do we see?
In one financial year?
Yes, in one
Between June and June?
Yes, June and June.
1.3 billion shillings has gone into one political party.
Yes.
And this money should be used to help make people aware
civic education
about the party, telling people
governance.
About their own governance structures and all. All right.
Are we saying, therefore, that this money did not go towards its intended purpose, and that there's evidence for the same, that indeed we can prove that that money did not go?
Once I get the reports
from the Auditor
General, I don't want to preempt, then you can call me another time here.
Oh, we will call you.
Yes, and I will give you everything.
But what is your general feeling, City? Do you feel 1.3 billion shillings has been adequately utilized to...
When I consider that we are anecdotally losing 2 billion shillings on a daily basis, 2.5 billion shillings for a whole year is pittance. But now, to get to the heart of the matter, this matter of political parties and what they do with the money, political parties are normally led by politicians who in this country are the people who lead us in setting the example of how best to disregard the law. So, if that is the ethos by which they conduct their affairs and the affairs of those they represent, how then do you think that when they get money, they are suddenly going to be held responsible when everything about them proves to be the contrary of the very thing I'm saying?
Can we look at what these funds are meant for, to then have an understanding of whether they're being properly utilized? In its enactment of saying, okay, political parties fund, this is what this money is supposed to be used for, what are some of the things that we say should be done? And then we can say, actually, all right, if this money was put aside for this, and this, for example, member mobilization, and then we can go across and say member mobilization actually took place, then you say, okay, yes.
Paying rent.
Paying rent for official party
headquarters,
etc.,
offices across the
country. Yes. Member registration, because then you need your digital presence as well as, stationary, etc., mobilization. Then you can say yes. But without that, then it's difficult for us to say. We can't just look and say, no, these guys look like they've been wasting money. I mean, how?
Out of the 90 political parties, 48 are funded.
Okay.
In this season of this election cycle. Out of 90, 42 are not funded. Where do they get their money? To run their offices, 24 offices across the country, pay their staff? Who is this so generous?
Do they actually have all these parties, these offices that we speak of? Is there evidence that there are parties right across the country? There may be a presence. But remember, one of the things that we have seen over the years is all you require are stalwart members in certain parts of the country, and they will offer you accommodation. And your party can find some space to function.
Operate like an equity agent.
It
doesn't.
For many people.
You will not exist.
KCB Mtani.
No, but the law does not allow that. You have to have a registered lease with the owner of the property. And that property, under the law now, KRA, will definitely have to have a pie of what the money you are paying. Yeah, as a landlord.
Will the Auditor General provide us with a list of all these registered officers? Because after all, public funds are supposed to be spent on this. Would they be in a position to provide us with the registered officers of all the political parties?
And the copies of leases.
Exactly.
That's the job of the
Across
Auditor
the
General.
That is exactly what I'm asking for. And once I get that, and at the back of your mind, I know you guys are also saying, okay, if you go tomorrow to one of the counties, they paint a building the way you say it is painted during the election, and certificates are just being given by the roadside. And what is it? At the end of the day, why at this moment, the question that you have asked, I'm a Kenyan. And I really feel a lot of pain. Not that at the moment I'm not in an elective position or something of that nature, but running of parties, regulating parties, I have been in those positions. But there's always a time something has to come to an end.
What do you want
tomorrow, you can talk about these other initiatives you are talking about. All these initiatives, what is happening in Bomas, what is happening where, you will never ever get it right if you don't now sanitize this mess that we are talking about.
There's a question you've asked. Where would the other 42 parties be getting their funds from to run their offices?
That's a very pertinent question.
Was your party UDF funded by state?
We were not funded, but we were funded by the people who were elected in our party.
Okay.
Yeah, they funded us.
So elected members
Yes.
pay a certain amount every month from their
Yes.
salary
Yes.
to run party affairs. Where else? So that's one.
Nothing else, to be honest, during that time.
Was that sufficient?
Membership, no. If well-wishers can come in, they are a bit handy. They can come in, but not at that. You know, some of the funds you are supposed to get is from subscription of the members.
Yes.
I wish you are on call to ask any member of a party how much has he contributed as membership fees. It's not there. You talk about parties having 8 million registered members. And if you multiply even by 10 shillings per month, that is quite huge, colossal amount of money.
80.
So basically, what I'm saying is that even at that time, we were getting those small funds from our members. And I know the members of the elected members of these parties are contributing.
Yeah.
They're contributing. But it's not enough money. What about the 42 who don't have even a single elected? It
Yeah,
means they have no overheads. They have no offices. They have no staff. And these are the things that would make them to stand deregistered. After notices, she gives notices, or he gives notices, the office gives notice. If you don't comply with this and this and this and this, you stand deregistered.
I get you now.
What happens if you then seek information from the registrar of political parties and they do not comply and not give you the information? What action can you take?
I'm in court.
That's
Already.
it.
That's why I don't want
Compelling.
to get into the nitty-gritties of what I've already,
Okay.
because the matter is in court. But because it is a public interest matter, the public should understand why I went on their behalf to court to petition.
But even before going to court, there is the Office of the Ombudsman. The Office of the Ombudsman is copied in all your requests to the ORPP. Have you reached out to the Office of the Ombudsman to intervene?
The copies are for information. But also we have written to them
To the
that
Ombudsman's
we have
office?
not got what we wanted and no action.
What's the end game here, Hassan?
The end game
Directly.
one,
So first,
yeah.
you want some political parties that do not comply deregistered. You want this money either spent or returned to national. What do you want?
One way or another, I have said earlier that at the end of the day, after we get the records, definitely it will be again a matter that would end up in court. Why? we will prove that these parties are not compliant. And then we'll be asking for the orders that to the Register of Political Parties and the Attorney General on what actions to be taken against these parties that are not compliant. The law is very clear. The law is very clear. The final person to deregister the parties after being informed by the registrar is the Attorney General.
It's the Attorney General. So we're looking at, based on what you're saying, and if truly there is an appetite to follow the law in terms of what it says, political parties notwithstanding, because oftentimes say, oh, well, it's a political party, and then it doesn't, okay. If we're following the law and being very serious about that, we're talking about the possible deregistration of political parties and asking you to go back and sort out yourselves from the beginning, or we're saying that party, as it is presently constituted, then will not be able to operate in Kenya. Should that be a position that would be taken?
The first thing is to prove that there have been an incident against the relevant laws of this land. And we will come to the next stage that you need to be there after we have already proved that you are not compliant and you should not have been there. You are not supposed to nominate anybody to run for any office in this country. Forget about even getting funding from the taxpayers.
Let's throw in some politics. And I see a question that's been asked by Maura on social media, right? It says, no, it's actually by Evans. Are you a gun for hire by UDA?